What up? What up? What up? Welcome to another exciting episode of The Real Deal. Let's get it. All right. Welcome to another episode of The Real Deal, episode 129. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harding. Glad to be back once again with another Saturday edition. It is September 30th, almost October. Can't believe it. September's over. It's fall weather, hoodies and Tims and all those things, long sleeves and everything. So get ready for this fall winter season. So try to stay warm. But I'm glad to be back again, once again, with another episode. We are live on BS3 TV app, Roku channel. So check that out, Roku TV, BS3 TV app. Download the app there. Also, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can get your podcast, Spotify, Google, Apple. Just download The Real Deal with Courtney Hardin, bs3tvlive.com. Follow me at Get the Real Deal. I always say just Google The Real Deal, Courtney Hardin, get all the shows there. Shout out to the BS3 Network as well, bs3network.com, bs3tvlive.com. So I'm not going to waste any time. Again, this is episode 129. I had to bring in a heavy hitter for this show. My real deal brother, the Real Deal with Damian Adams, available also on all podcast platforms. And he's a writer and reporter for Burn City Sports. And that's a new website, new thing that he's doing too. So I can't. This is my guy, so I got to bring him on. So what's good, Damian? My man, my brother, my real deal brother. What is up? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. I appreciate that intro. It was funny. I was laughing when you was talking about how you dealing with the fall weather and the hoodies and the Tim.
Yeah.
Because out here in Arizona, as you can see, we still t-shirts and hats right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
It's a whole different world out here.
Yeah, it got cold quick here in the East Coast. So yeah, most of you said hoodies, Tims, or whatever, boots, anything like
Yeah.
that. People just, everybody got their hoodies on. It's been raining all week this week. It's been cold, but it's gonna get back up to the 80s next week. So I guess I can't
Okay.
complain too much. And like you said, Arizona weather, you guys get 90s and around this time, 100 sometimes still.
Yeah.
So enjoy that weather.
For sure.
No doubt. But yeah, I'm glad to get you back on. Like I said, we've done so many shows together. We do a lot of different things together, collaborating, fantasy football leagues and all those things. So I always appreciate when we can have time to chop it up and talk sports. And I bring you on because you're well versed in a lot of different things, a lot of different areas of sports. But we know when big boxing matches, I got to bring you on. So I really appreciate the time, man.
Oh, no doubt, man. I appreciate you having me on.
No doubt, no doubt. So let's get right into it, man. We got the news. Well, first let me start. We'll get the boxing, but now that you've got the Burn City Sports, talk about your collaboration with Burn City Sports that you've been writing for them, reporting for them. Talk a little bit about how that came about.
So I was actually just trying to find a new place to write,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife actually stumbled upon this job where they were looking for local reporters to report on everything Phoenix. So they're looking for reporters to cover about the Cardinals, the Suns, Coyotes, Diamondbacks, Arizona State. And me being
Right.
a big basketball guy, I reached out and was like, hey, if you guys are looking for, a Suns reporter, a Suns writer, I also can do the Cardinals as well, but that would be my main thing. So I met up with Benny, our CEO, and we talked it out, and he's read some of my past stuff and listened to the podcast. He was like, yeah, I'm a big fan, would love to have you on. So I started writing for Burn City and covering the Suns. We have a Suns podcast that's coming out very, very soon. We actually did our
Okay.
first short video. It's called Burn City Suns Talk, and we're going to be recording our first official episode on Tuesday after Media Day on Monday. We'll be at Media Day on
Okay.
Monday. So Burn City, we're doing big things out here in Phoenix. And if you are in the Phoenix area or you're just a fan of Phoenix sports, go ahead and check out Burn City. But we also don't just do Phoenix, right? I have the wherewithal and also have been given the opportunity to write betting articles. You might have seen my Canelo Charlo betting article that I wrote
Yep.
earlier
Yep.
this week for them. Also, I write usually each week I'll do like my 5 can't miss spreads of the NFL week and stuff like that. So Suns, Cardinals, betting articles, that's my job there. But we cover everything. We have a team full of talented writers here at Burn City Sports. So make sure you follow Burn City Sports on all social media platforms or just check out the site burncitysports.com.
Definitely, man. Yeah, check it out. Like I said, I know you've been writing for a long time and doing, like I said, different, just like you said, not just basketball articles, but boxing definitely, and betting and all those things. So I follow all their work, including the podcast, of course. So yeah, so Burn City Sports. So everyone check that out and follow, subscribe, like, share all those things. So like I said, it's always
Yes,
easy
sir.
to. That's the easiest thing to do, is to just like it and share it and read it, and
Yeah.
that's it. It's a click of a button.
It's
Just
free.
it is
It's
free.
free.
Yeah,
You
it's
move,
free.
move your thumb a couple of times. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, we swipe everything else. So
Yeah.
swipe and then just like it and read it, post it, or repost. Or it's funny to say repost, or retweet it, all those things. So
Yeah.
definitely support Damian and all the moves he's been making and stuff like that. So let's get into this. Got this big fight. Like I said, we both are huge boxing fans, and we talk boxing. We cover it. We do a lot of different things. So I had to definitely get you on here. We got Canelo Alvarez versus Jamel Charlo, not Jamal, Jamel Charlo, the other
Yeah.
Charlo, but
Mhm.
but Jamel Charlo, and they fight tonight, undisputed for the undisputed titles. Uh, what was your first initial thoughts when you first heard about this fight, and then we'll get into all the nitty gritty with it. But what you think of this with Jamel? I think me and you were talking about this before. We thought maybe Jamal Charlo, but he's been inactive, dealing with some mental health things, and we hope he
Yeah.
definitely deals with that and gets better. But now Jamel, he steps up. He's no slouch either. But now he moves up 2 weight classes, and that's been the biggest story. But what was your initial thoughts when this fight was announced?
Yeah. So my initial thought was, did we get the right announcement? Because there
Mhm.
was a brief time where we thought it was going to be Jamal. And Jamal had been inactive for 2 years at that point. So I was
Yeah,
thinking, this fight in a vacuum, if it was Jamal, is good. But Jamal had been inactive for so long. You don't usually come back from being inactive for 2 years to take on
right.
one of the best pound for pound fighters in the sport. Usually you have some type of warm up to get into that mode for that type of fight. But then when it was announced as actually Jermell Charlo, I was like, okay, that's very interesting. And Jermell, has fought at 154 for pretty much his entire career. And you're like, dang, that's a big jump up. 154 to
Yeah,
168. That's huge. That's not a small task to have somebody jump up 2 weight classes like that. Because it's not like it's the smaller weight classes where it's 112 to 118, right?
yeah,
154 to 168 is a big jump. And I was like, man, will he be able to step up to that weight class? Does he have the natural size to move up to that weight class to
mm,
be able to handle the punishment of a guy like Canelo, who we know has amazing power? Does he have the power to affect somebody like Canelo, who we know has an amazing chin? So all those thoughts went through my mind at first, but I was like, we have undisputed versus undisputed. This continues the trend in 2023 of boxing, showing us why people like me and yourself fell in love with the sport in the first place. We're
yes.
getting the best versus the best. This year has been amazing as far as the matches we've gotten and some of the matches we still have to get later down this year. Like, this has been a great year for boxing.
Very great year, and I'm with you. The first when I heard it, I was like, okay, Charlo versus Canelo. We've talked about this for years. Like, why
Mhm.
don't they make this happen? Either Charlo brother, and yes, Jamal would have probably said been the fight, but then as the weeks went on and months went on, I was like, Jamel Charlo. I love it just because, like you said, Canelo wanted this fight anyway. Jamel stepped up to the plate and said, okay, let's do it. So I'm like, I'll take this fight because like you said, he's moving up 2 weight classes, like 14-pound difference that he moved up, and that's a lot, and it's difficult. I know that's been the biggest story, but now that he's at this weight class, it said does that his power translate to go against Canelo? that's one of the big keys of this fight. And Canelo, now the last couple of fights, a little slippage is happening a little, but he's getting older. He's been in a lot of fights, but as you said, it's two undisputed fighters going against each other. We immediately said us, we love to see that anyway. And he said it's been a great year of boxing. And before people would say boxing has slipped, or we're not getting the fights, but we have been getting those best versus the best now, and this is one of them. So I'm excited to see how this transpires. So, what do you think are some of the advantages? We'll start with Canelo. What are your takes on what Canelo has to do to win this fight?
So Canelo has to show that he really is the bigger man.
Mm-hmm.
When he goes into that ring, he needs to step forward and continue stepping forward the entire fight. He does have the ability to fight off the back foot. And when I say fight off the back foot, that means backing up, being able to counter as someone's coming towards you. He does have that ability to do that, and he has really good head movement. That's something that has improved throughout the years with him. I always point to the Daniel Jacobs fight. You watch that fight, you see really good defense from Canelo, and he won that fight being defensively minded most of the time. So he does have that ability. But I think against someone like Charlo, he has to continue going forward, because if he's constantly stepping back, Charlo's somebody who's going to continue to punch. So if he's not responding and he's only being defensive, even if Charlo's only landing one of every 5 punches or one of every 6 punches, the judges are seeing this guy being active versus a guy who's not being active. So Canelo has to march forward. And even if he's not punching all the time, if you're winning the battle of I'm going forward and you're stepping back, that does play into your mind as a judge, like, okay, this guy has control. So that's the first thing he has to do, is to continue to step forward. And if he's stepping forward, he'll get Charlo against the ropes. That's one of the weaknesses I've seen for Charlo, is that if you go back and watch the fight against Brian Castano, Brian Castano, the first time they fought, caught him with some really good shots against the ropes. And Charlo has a bad habit of allowing himself to get backed up against the ropes. If he does that against Canelo, I don't know if he'll be able to recover, because even though Charlo has a good chin, he hasn't taken a punch of a 168-pounder with true power like Canelo. So if you mess around and get against those ropes and take one of those shots that you took against Castano, you might mess up and find yourself looking at the lights. So Canelo does have that advantage there, where if he can back him up against the ropes, he could land some good shots. And it also has to go to the body. I feel like Charlo is more athletically gifted than Canelo, just naturally more quicker and faster. But Canelo can slow him down with body shots. And Canelo's a great body puncher. We've seen him knock people out with that left hook to the body, that liver shot that he's been able to knock people out with. So if he's able to continue marching forward, get him against the ropes, and go to the body, that would be the keys for Canelo to win the fight.
I 100% agree. I think, just to add, like you said, the counterpunching. Canelo is one of the masters at that counterpunching. So as you said, if Charlo comes in at him, Canelo's just going to be waiting, and said, with that left hook, and that left hook to the body, where that's where Canelo is with that power. That's where he would have the advantage. And as you said, Canelo just has to continue to, use his power and his will to really. And Canelo, he's always stalking too. He's always looking for to engage. Like, he wants to engage with him. And if Charlo, I think it will go to Charlo on the other side. If Charlo wants to go at Canelo, that feeds right into Canelo's wheelhouse, because he said he's going to counterpunch, he's going to go to the body. I think Charlo's got to be disciplined, very disciplined, and not get into that brawling style, because that's not him. He's the taller fighter, Charlo is, so he should use that athleticism and his length and his reach to his advantage. But if Canelo gets him to fight that way of brawling, or just, that's going to be right into his wheelhouse. So I think he's got to be very disciplined and don't get out of his game plan, Charlo. So, what do you think of Charlo? What do you think he has to do for the keys to pull this? It would be an upset, to pull this upset.
So that was my number one key. It's funny that you mentioned that word, discipline. That's my number one key for Charlo. Charlo can get a little wild at times, and he's been able to get away with that because he can take a good punch at 154. And I don't know if he'll be able to take that same punch at 168. He has to be disciplined. And the blueprint that he can follow is Dimitri Bivol. So Dimitri Bivol last year was able to defeat Canelo by just being very, very disciplined. He did not get outside of himself. He stayed behind his jab, his straight right hand, high guard. And even at times during that fight, you saw Canelo get frustrated and Canelo get out of character. Canelo tried to talk trash to Bivol to try to get him into a brawl. And Bivol was like, nah, I'm going to stay behind this one too. You better adjust. You better find a way to get in because I'm going to win like this. And that's what he did. Charlo, if he can do that, because even though Charlo's the one moving up in weight, Charlo's the naturally bigger guy. You mentioned that he's taller. He also has a 73-inch reach. That's longer than even Dimitri Bivol's.
Yeah.
So you think about the fact that Charlo is naturally bigger. He can use that reach. He should be throwing jabs and straights the entire night. Jabs and straights. And I'm talking about double up on the jab. You can jab to the body, jab upstairs, then come back with the right hand. But it should be straights and jabs the entire night. Of course, you got to mix it up. But he should be selective with those hooks and uppercuts. He's got a very good hook, very good right hook, very good uppercut. And he definitely should throw those from time to time. But it should be jabs and straights all night for him. The second key is making sure that he does not back up. So there was a point in the Terrence Crawford Errol Spence fight, which I was wrong about, right?
I was too.
Where
I think we did a prediction. I think we did that.
Yeah. So there was a point before Errol Spence got knocked down where Errol Spence tried to like body Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford didn't back up and pushed him off of him and went back to punching him. And at that moment, I was like, I'm about to lose my money. And I was like, this, and I think Charlo may be able to do the same thing against Canelo. Because like I said, Charlo, even though he fought at smaller weight class, is a naturally bigger guy. So there could be a point where Canelo tries to body him and tries to push him around. And if Charlo stands his ground and then unloads on him as Canelo's trying to be the bully, that could change the tone of the fight. So key number one, jabs and straights, use that reach to your advantage. Key number two, do not back up. And of course, that goes with not being on the ropes. And my third key, I mentioned it earlier, be selective with the hooks and uppercuts. You definitely want to do it. You definitely want to mix up your attack because you can't be repetitive against a guy like Canelo. But you got to be selective in those moments because if you're jabbing and throwing straights, even if Canelo's able to use his head movement to get out the way, he's too far away to counter. If you miss with a hook or an uppercut, you're in his range. That's when that left hook to the body can come. That's when one of those nasty uppercuts can come from Canelo. So be selective when you throw those hooks and uppercuts, move immediately. It should be one hook or maybe one uppercut and you're back out of range. Yes. Do not stand there. Do not, what trainers call it, do not take a picture of your work. Get out of the way. Don't need to capture the moment. This ain't a Kodak moment. Get out of the way. Get back in range and get back to throwing those jabs and those straights. But discipline is definitely the biggest key for Charlo. If Charlo can stay disciplined, which is a big question with him sometimes, if he can stay disciplined, he could pull off the upset.
Yeah, he definitely could. And that's the thing. I think the discipline was like when I was doing my research and stuff, I was like, yeah, discipline is the key for Charlo. And you're right. The points where the stick and move type of thing, like using those straights, those jabs, and those being selective and getting out of the way, because Charlo does have good footwork, so he can use that athleticism and get out of the way. Because, like you said, Canelo's waiting for the counter. It's just like with Bud Crawford and Errol Spence, the same thing. Bud was just waiting for Errol Spence to make a mistake, put those hands down so he can counter, and that's where he just picked them apart. Canelo can do the same thing against Charlo. If Charlo said Canelo or Charlo gets a little wild, push those hands down, Canelo's gonna counter and really attack him. And he said, okay, I got him where I want him. And he said off that back foot and really counter and really hit him to the body, and it could be lights out. But I think you said Charlo's got to get out of that. He's got to get out of the way quickly, stick and move, and just keep moving, make Canelo come to you, but then you got to be very selective of how you attack as well. So who do you have, so we did all the, our prediction, who you have winning this fight?
I'm going with the upset, Courtney. I'm going with Jamel Charlo to pull it off. I'm going Charlo by decision. I definitely don't see him knocking Canelo out because Canelo's chin may be underrated when we really think about it, because he went against Triple G twice when Triple G was still Triple G. The third time, that was just some dude named Gennady. But the first two times, that was still Triple G. Yeah. And he took the best punches from Triple G, who was knocking everybody out at that time.
Yeah.
Took his best shots and kept coming forward. And I know the dispute of those two decisions are highly disputed. But as far as just taking the punches and coming forward, that can't be disputed. We saw Canelo do that. And the fact that he was able to do that against Triple G means that he probably can do that against anybody between 154 to 175. He could take anybody's shots between those two weights. So I definitely don't see a knockout, but I can see Charlo, again, staying disciplined, being able to stay on the outside and frustrating Canelo because Canelo won't be able to reach him. I think he'll outpoint him. I'm going unanimous decision, but a close one. I'm going to go 115, 113 on two cards, and 116, 112 on the third card. Unanimous decision for Jermell Charlo.
That is enough. That would be an upset, and it is showing some, like you said, we said in the beginning, Canelo is starting to do it. He's slipping a little bit. He's not as active, but he's still Canelo Alvarez. So I got to go the opposite. I got to go with the favorite. I got to go with Canelo. I just think the weight is a big key of Canelo. He's used to this weight, and Charlo isn't. Yeah, now we'll see if he could take Canelo's punches, but I have a feeling he's gonna get into, like I say, he's gonna get into trying to box and trying to outbox Canelo, which is a decent plan, but he's got to be disciplined. I don't know how long he could be disciplined throughout the match, especially if Canelo is tagging him,
is a valid question.
Round by round, round by round by round, and then that could get Charlo frustrated. Could say Canelo is up by 7th, 8th round. Charlo's like, okay, I've got to knock him out, and then that's where Canelo can catch him sleeping a little bit and getting wild, getting inconsistent. And so I got Canelo. I think it's a late 10th round knockout or stoppage in a way. So I think Canelo's going to put through a lot of punishment. I think Charlo's going to have to, right from the beginning, set the tone with that jab, as you said, and being disciplined. And if he can frustrate Canelo, then that'll be different. But I think Canelo's think he knows the game plan, what to do against Charlo, and try to frustrate him and with those counters and that right hook, like you said, to the body. That might be the effective weapon. But I got Canelo winning by at least by the 10th round.
Okay.
Yeah. So all right. Well, let's move on to the heavyweights. We finally got Tyson Fury and Usyk announced yesterday. What was your initial reaction when they finally, Tyson Fury was like, okay, he's the top guy. I gotta fight him. There's no running. Even though Tyson Fury wasn't running from him, he was just saying, I don't want anything to do with Usyk. But now this fight is finally signed and ready. Well, it was announced. It's finally here. So what was your initial reaction with that fight?
My initial reaction was, I'm not going to believe it until we have a definite date, definite venue, time, tickets are on sale. Like, I need to see everything that's really going down for this fight, because for some reason, I don't know why this fight has been so hard to make, because both of these guys have a history of doing what it takes to make the fights happen. You look at Tyson Fury with Deontay Wilder. Those two guys were on different promotional brands that normally didn't work together, but they were able to come together and make 3 fights, and 2 of the 3 fights were really good to really help out as far as the state of boxing. You think about Usyk. Usyk is somebody who's jumped from promoter to promoter or from platform to platform to make the best fights happen. And you're like, okay, these two guys who we know are willing to do that. This should be easy. And, we've heard different rumors about why it took so long. Tyson Fury didn't want to give Usyk, a decent amount of money. And Tyson Fury is the A side as far as the draw, but Usyk is the one with more title belts. So that can get a little complicated when it comes to who should, get 60% versus 40%, or should it be 50-50? And my thing is, whenever it comes to a fight that's going to make this much money, 50-50 it. Like, it shouldn't be this big thing where you guys are arguing over who's going to make, 15 million versus 12 million. Just even it out. Just even it out. You guys are going to come out even richer than you were before. Even it out. And even if you have a clause where, let's say, this is the way I would do it if I was a boxing promoter, not to go on too much of a tangent. But if you have a big time fight and the two fighters are both saying they're the A side, they both deserve more money, the winner gets the bigger part of the purse. So if you go into that fight, you truly believe you're that dude, all right, the winner gets 60%, loser gets 40%. We definitely don't want the other person not having anything, because you're going in there risking your life. You want you to have a good payday. But the winner gets more. That should be it. Like if you both are disagreeing on that, winner gets 60, loser gets 40. But a lot of times you'll hear in these conversations where ego is such a big thing, right? With Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, that fight didn't happen because Devin Haney's like, I had to take less to fight against Kambosos to become undisputed. Now I'm undisputed. Shakur got to do the same thing for me. And it's like, okay, I get that Kambosos, really held that title over your head as far as like, okay, if you want these, you got to come to Australia. You got to take less money. Yeah. And shout out to Devin Haney for doing that, because now Devin Haney has put himself in a position where he can be the A side because of it. But I don't think you should return that favor to Shakur. Shakur had nothing to do with that. He had nothing to do with the Kambosos, the conversations and negotiations. He had nothing to do with that. So when you go into that conversation with Shakur, you should go in with good faith. Like, okay, I'm the champ. You're very popular. Let's do it 60-40. And then that's something that Shakur could probably appreciate and say, okay, I get a chance to be undisputed. I can do 60-40. But I'm sorry, just going that tangent. But my initial thoughts was, I'm glad that it's finally agreed upon, but I need to see the official date, venue, tickets on sale, so I can really get excited for it.
Yeah, agreed. I think when it just came out of nowhere, I know they've been negotiating because Taylor Fair, he's setting up his, he's getting ready to fight Francis Ngannou October 28th. And he's about to make like between 50 and 60 million just off that fight. So, crazy. Tyson Fury's, he's like I said, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion. So he could go on and just say, he was retired. He's coming back. He's at a point in his career probably now where he just wants to fight legacy fights. He just wants to fight big fights now. No matter if it's a crossover with MMA, whether it's, you said Usyk or whoever. I know he was, he still was looking at other fights, and he's fighting in Saudi Arabia, that whole thing. So it's now he's just looking for that. Anthony Joshua, I know that's still been lingering around, and so there's so many different things he can do. So, but it makes sense. Like you said, you want legacy fights. Usyk is the next guy in line, and it makes the most sense. Fighting Ngannou, okay, it's one of those buildups, like Floyd Mayweather. It's a money grab. It's Floyd and Conor McGregor. It's a Jake Paul type situation. It's something like that in a way. Okay, and Ngannou, big guy, but we don't know about his boxing acumen. Is just he's just like kind of almost like Conor McGregor. It's just you're coming into this lane of boxing, fighting a professional heavyweight champion, and one of the best heavyweight champions we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years. You're probably gonna get destroyed more than likely. So no matter how big and how how skilled you are, you're a very skilled fighter, but that was with mixed martial arts. So, but it's a money grab. So, hey, more power to both of them.
I'm not mad at the MMA fighters who come over to boxing to get their big payday, because we've talked about it before. And shout out to my guy, Chris Negron, the MMA archive host.
Yes.
He's talked about it a lot, where these fighters don't make enough on the UFC side. So when they come over to boxing, you get somebody like Woodley, who fought Jake Paul twice. He got paid more in those two fights than he got paid in his whole UFC career, which is crazy to think about. So I don't have a problem with that, because they deserve to get that money. But my only issue is I hope that one day UFC does start paying these guys what they deserve, so that if they do cross over to boxing, it's more of a genuine attempt where they have to build themselves up. I would love to see Ngannou go against maybe a heavyweight prospect on the way up and see if he can fight one of those guys. And if he beats them and then beats a contender, then he gets a chance. And he'll still be fast-tracked because of his history in fighting, but maybe 2 or 3 fights before you get the heavyweight champion of the world. That's nuts. Like that jump.
This title shot.
Being an MMA fighter to going straight at the king is crazy.
Yeah, and I know he was the king of the heavyweights in UFC. So yes, and then he left, and then like you said, he wants to get paid. They've talked about it for a year or more. And Tyson Fury's given an opportunity. So he said he's going to get paid. I mean, I didn't blame Conor McGregor for the build-up was super high. Then Conor McGregor made so much money. That's why he doesn't fight much now, because he made so much money off the Floyd Mayweather fight.
Why made all that money, developed proper 12. He's been good to go.
He's been good to go. Right. Got his own liquor and everything. So he's good to go. So Conor's like, and then he got hurt, and he's like, Nah, I'm still a big money draw. Yes, I'll just go ahead and do that. That's why John Jones was talking about fighting in boxing because he's like, look, yes, I'm probably still the biggest draw in mixed martial arts, but I can make a lot of money if I fight someone uh, in boxing. If someone wants to, if they want a big money, a big payday,
Yeah.
big name, let's do it. So, I mean, we're going to end up watching it, of course, because it is entertainment. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be entertainment for that. So, it might not
Yeah,
be the best.
I'll watch this one. I haven't spent any money on Jake Paul. But
No,
I
no,
would,
no.
but I would watch the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou one just because there is some type of intrigue there, and you do have the best in the world in Tyson Fury. So I don't mind the fact that Tyson Fury is the one that's giving this opportunity to somebody to make this type of money.
Yeah.
With Jake Paul, it just seemed like there's so many fighters and so many boxers who are way better than Jake Paul who haven't made the money Jake Paul made, and that's why it kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, and it goes back to, like I said, these YouTube sensations and others. I mean, they're taking advantage of the platform they have, and they're making a lot of money. People are going to watch it, and
Yeah,
it's going to
and
continue.
respect to them for realizing what it was. Like
Yeah,
they realized what the marketplace was and made the money off of it. And it's not their fault; it's the consumer's fault for
yeah,
putting that money in their
putting that
pockets.
money in there. Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
substandard stuff. It's crazy.
yeah. And as you said, substandard, definitely. So, but let's move on to NBA. I want to get your thoughts on that before I let you go. We had a big trade about 3 days ago. Damian Lillard, we knew he was going to get traded. We just didn't think he was going to get traded to this team, the
Yeah,
Milwaukee Bucks. I did a whole NBA podcast the day of the trade, but he goes to the Milwaukee Bucks to team up with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton and players. DeAndre Ayton leaves Phoenix and goes to Portland. Drew Holiday, he from Milwaukee goes to Portland, but now they said they want to try to ship him because now he's the biggest draw now and everything too. But what'd you think of Dame? That surprise move. Thought it was going to be Miami. Now teaming up with Giannis. And do you think, early prediction, do you think that makes them the favorites in the East?
yeah, I definitely think it makes them the favorite in the East. I thought going into the season before the trade that they were the best team in the East. Last year in the playoffs, you got to remember, regular season they had the best record in the NBA. Period,
Yeah,
and they were the
right.
favorites going into the playoffs before Miami just went on that magical run. So going into this season, I had them as the favorite in the Eastern Conference, and this trade, I feel like puts space between them and the rest of the Eastern Conference. Boston's still really good. Philadelphia got all the stuff they got going on over there.
Yeah.
So we don't even know how that team's going to be chemistry wise and what's going to happen there. So it's pretty much a two-team race in Eastern Conference. Honestly, between those two, Miami's still good, but Miami lost some key pieces with Gabe Vincent going to the Lakers, Max Strus going to the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So they lost some really key pieces in Miami and haven't really replaced them. So I can see Miami taking a step back. And we got to remember, Miami was an 8 seed.
Yes.
Going into the playoffs. So
Right.
it's not like this team was dominant and then we saw them go to the finals. Like this was a team that was struggling going into the playoffs. And honestly, your Bulls almost took them out.
Yeah, going into the play-in. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, in the play-in. So you really have to look at Miami like a couple of plays here, a couple of plays there, not even in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But they went on that run. You got to give Jimmy Butler all respect in the world for what he did against Milwaukee. But that team's not the same. So in the Eastern Conference, it used to be you think about Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, maybe Cleveland, but then they turn around and lost to the Knicks in the playoffs. So you look at the top three teams, like I said, Philadelphia, you don't know what's going on with James Harden. James Harden's in the club with Deramar is a liar sign in the club. Like, so he's definitely not trying to play there. He's trying to do everything he can to get out of that situation.
He's doing the Ben Simmons thing.
Yeah,
he's doing the James Harden thing. He's doing the James Harden thing in Houston, then Brooklyn, now it's in Philly. Yep.
Yeah, it definitely should be called the Harden. Whenever somebody is trying their best to get out of a situation, we just, hey man, he's pulling the Harden. That should be the Harden from on. And because of that, Philadelphia, unless they pull a deal off, which they may do, we'll get to that with Drew Holiday. They may get back into the thick of things. But right now, Milwaukee, after that move, I gave it an A+ on their side because adding Damian Lillard with Giannis, with Brook Lopez, with Chris Middleton, that offensive lineup is crazy, and they're still going to be very good defensively. Damian Lillard is not a good defender, right? Point blank, not a good defender. But You don't have to be as good when you have Giannis and Brook Lopez behind you. You don't
Yeah,
have to be a
Middleton
good defender
and
anymore.
Middleton can play D, and
Yeah,
so Middleton's a good defender. And yeah, they do lose, like you said, they do lose a lot of perimeter defense with Drew Holiday. I mean, I love Drew Holiday. I know
and
you
Grayson
did
Allen as
too.
well. Yeah,
And Grayson Allen, yes. So they lost a lot of perimeter defense, and that was some of the big keys where people were discussing about what they lost. Yes, of course, but Dame Lillard's a better player than Drew Holiday. That's, I mean,
yeah,
definitely offensively. But it's like miles ahead of Drew Holiday. Drew
yeah,
Holiday's a good offensive player. He's a good two-way player, great two-way player. But you
yeah,
got a chance to get Dame Lillard, um, and what Dame Lillard brings, Dame time brings clutch shooting. And that's what what's been their biggest weakness the last 2 years, clutch shooting. Because that means Giannis has to get the ball and barrel his way through when he gets fouled. He's not a great free throw shooter,
yeah,
he's not a great shooter. And he's just got to go in there and they put that wall and he's forcing his way into trying to get dunks and layups. And it
yeah,
doesn't always happen. You got Damian Lillard now. He said, "No, I got this. I can shoot from 35 plus and
yeah,
make shots." So I think that takes a lot of pressure off Giannis. So I think it was the best move for him. I think even if he would have went to Miami, I still don't feel like they would have been the best team in the East. I still don't feel that. Even getting Dame Lillard, they would have been really good, but it didn't
yeah.
guarantee they was going to make the finals
This is the
again.
thing with Miami. I mentioned how they lost Gabe Vincent. You lost
Yeah,
Max Strus. If
yes,
you
the
would trade for
backcourt.
Damian Lillard, you're losing Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson at a minimum to
Yeah,
get
right.
Damian Lillard. So by the time you get Damian Lillard, you got your 3 stars. You got Dame, you got Jimmy, you got Bam Adebayo. But
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, what you really got? You got an older
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry, maybe if he's not part of the trade. Like that team would have been lacking depth for sure.
Right, right. And like I said, it would have definitely been what they need, of course, but I just don't feel like that was the best situation for Dame. Now this Milwaukee, yeah, great situation. If he would have came to Philly, great situation because it would have been him and
Yeah,
Joel Embiid. Yeah, that Harden would have been gone, and they probably would have had to get rid of Maxey too on top of that. But that 1-2 punch with with Lillard and Joel Embiid, and that's why I think Joel Embiid was campaigning for him to come there. But now they got an opportunity to get Drew Holiday, which is would be great. I mean, Drew Holiday, he fits just about anywhere. Where do you
yeah,
think he goes? It's Boston, Philly. I know Chicago's involved. I know there's so many teams that could use a Drew Holiday. I know Golden State was saying they was on the phone with him. It's like, okay, y'all about to get rid of Chris Paul, get Drew Holiday. It's like,
yeah.
okay, let's see. But where do you think Drew Holiday? What's his best fit? You think for him?
Oh, there's so many teams. Like you said, he's one of those players who could truly fit anywhere because
Yeah.
any team could use a guy who defends like that and who
Mm-hmm.
also can give you buckets in times of need.
Yes.
Um, so the place I would like to see him go would probably be Philly, just so we can get rid of this whole James Harden thing.
Yeah.
James Harden, I'm pretty sure doesn't want to go to Portland, but at this point, bro, you can't choose where you're going. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
should,
No,
we
you have
shipping
no
you to,
leverage. You have no leverage.
yeah,
You
no
know.
leverage. Like we're gonna ship you to Portland. And the thing is, even with shipping James Harden, the 76ers would have to give up picks too, because the team getting James Harden is gonna be like, we can't trust James Harden to be happy here. We
Right.
can't trust that he's gonna want to play here. So you gotta give us some picks too. So that would have to work that way for Philly. Trying to think of some other teams. Boston would be interesting because he would be essentially replacing Marcus Smart, and he's a better
Yeah.
version of Marcus Smart. So
Yes.
that
Yes.
that would be amazing to see if they could do that. I don't know what they have to give up. Maybe Malcolm Brogdon, and of course picks. So I can see that working that way for Boston. Malcolm Brogdon. I'll have to look at the salaries to see if it matches up. But Malcolm Brogdon maybe another piece to make the salaries match, and draft picks for Boston. That would be huge for Boston because that defense will be nasty. Him,
Yeah.
Brown, Tatum, all those guys
Yeah.
can defend. Porzingis
With
at the rim.
Porzingis. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, like that
Yeah.
defense would be crazy if they got Drew Holiday. And that would be something to be really like the storyline would be crazy because then you would get maybe Boston, Milwaukee, Eastern Conference Finals, Drew Holiday guarding Damian Lillard in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
That would be a crazy storyline. So I would like to see him stay in the Eastern Conference just so we can see that matchup of Drew Holiday proving to Milwaukee, like, hey, y'all should have kept me because I'm about to try to lock down Damian Lillard. We got to remember back in the day when he played with my New Orleans Pelicans, one of the best moments in Pelicans history, we swept the Portland Trailblazers in the first round as the underdog.
Yes.
Because Drew Holiday and Rajon Rondo was out there putting the clamps on Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. So you got to know that it's possible for that to happen. So
And it'd be
I would like to see him
personal
stay in the
too.
Eastern Conference.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that'll be a personal. If he goes to the Boston, I think he said he fits in Boston. He fits in Philly. I think Miami's going to be. They're going to be in the
yeah.
mix. He fits there. He fits that culture anyway.
Hmm.
With as you said, with Bam and with Jimmy and those guys. So it's. I think it's going to be one of those three teams if he stays in the East. I know the Lakers, Golden State. I know other teams could use him. I mean,
I don't
shoot,
know
Portland
how.
can.
Yeah, I don't know how Golden State could get him because Chris Paul. If they trade Chris Paul again, I think Chris Paul gonna retire.
I think so
Like Chris,
too.
yeah, like you trade me, Chris, because Chris Paul wants to be in California. We all know he wants to be in California. That's where his
Yeah.
family lives. He wants to be there. So it seems like he begrudgingly is like, okay, I'll take this spot in Golden State because part of him has to be like dying inside the fact that he's joining Steph Curry and this team, the team that he's
Yeah.
been trying to take down for all these years,
All those
and
years.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, so now he's joining them. So just from outside in of seeing Chris Paul a lot, I feel like the competitor in him is like, damn, really?
Yeah.
I'm joining them now. But he definitely doesn't want to go to Portland, even though he will still be on the West Coast, going up to, the PNW, as they call it, the Pacific Northwest. He
Yeah.
wouldn't go up there because, again, he's not in California. You're not a contender. That's the same with Chris Paul. You also have to be on a contender. Portland's not going to be that. They're a young team. They're trying to build, and they're doing a good job of it, but they're not going to be a contender for the next few years. So Chris Paul definitely wouldn't want to go there.
No, I don't think so either. And just thinking of Portland, like you said, they got a young team. Now they got DeAndre Ayton. He's over there. I think that Phoenix had to. It just wasn't going to fit with all those guys now. With Bradley Beal over there now, and now Nurkic, and he's now in Phoenix, which you said you cover and live there and cover. Like you said, what do you think of Nurkic going to Phoenix and Ayton getting a fresh start in Portland with a young team? Now he's almost the elder statesman, one of the elder statesmen now for them. I just think it's a fresh start for Ayton. Ayton is a good player. When he's got his motor running, he's a really good talented player. It's just more of attitude, and he just maybe need a fresh start. So we get to see that. But what do you think of that swap with Nurkic and DeAndre Ayton?
I think this trade really shows you how bad it was as far as the chemistry with DeAndre Ayton and the Suns, because there's no way they make this deal just off the deal itself. Because from Ayton to Nurkic is a downgrade in pretty much every category. Ayton is younger. Ayton is more durable.
Yep.
Nurkic isn't the defender that he once was. After he broke his leg a couple years ago, he lost a step, been more injury prone. And he's giving you, last year he averaged 13 and 9. Ayton averaged 18 and 10. So you're really downgrading a lot with Nurkic. He's more physical. So he's somebody who you may not worry about him getting bullied in that type of way. With Ayton, that was kind of the worry with him, that he didn't have, quote unquote, that dog in him when it came to certain matchups. But with Nurkic, it's truly a downgrade as far as talent and as far as upside. He's declining. Ayton is about to enter his prime, where you assume he's going to be ascending.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a big downgrade. And I like this now. I like the Grace now. I know people don't like Grace now. I think he's dirty. His face looks like a face dirty. But when you look at Grayson Allen, he's somebody who can shoot the three-point shot at a high clip, like 39.9%.
Yep.
He's a good defender, not great, but a good defender, somebody who you don't have to worry about just getting exploited on defense. So he's going to fit as far as a 3-and-D guy with them. But I feel like if Grayson Allen is your prize for getting rid of Ayton, you didn't do it correctly. So from a Suns perspective, I didn't like the trade.
Yeah, I think with the Suns too, I think, as you said, they were trying to get depth because they're so top heavy. But then you got getting Nurkic, who doesn't really need the ball. Ayton is so talented. He would have been the fourth guy, maybe fifth in some ways, because you got this Booker, KD, whatever word you want to put, Booker, KD, Booker, and then you got Bradley Beal on top of that too.
Yeah, Eric Gordon come off the bench.
Someone like Eric Gordon, yeah. So you add, you said you have DeAndre Ayton. He didn't really fit there either. Now with Nurkic on that end, he just defend, rebound, passing and all those things. So all he really has to do. And if they need somebody go inside, they can go inside to him, and he can like say bully ball his way to that. So he doesn't have to be the 18 and 10 like Ayton. He can get that 12, 13 and 9, 12, 13, 8.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it fits what they needed because they needed depth, and now they got it. Getting Grayson Allen, getting all those pieces now.
Yeah,
so
Nasir Little could be
Nasir Little, and Nasir Little. I like his game. a
Yeah.
lot. So it adds now to Phoenix's roster. They're not so top heavy. And they're gonna be a contender. They definitely was gonna be a contender anyway. But now I
Yeah.
think if they stay healthy, that's the key thing. All those guys
Yeah.
can't stay healthy. They can stay healthy. They can really they'll challenge Denver. For me, for Aiden, I think it's a fresh start, young team. It's just now it's just proving okay. It just wasn't me. It was Monty Williams. It was the system. It was me being third, fourth guy instead of trying to be the number one or number two option. Now that you're in Portland, now you have that opportunity to really show and prove and shine. So we'll see what happens. So I kind of like the trade for everybody that was involved in this, but Dame was definitely I think Dame and wherever Drew Holiday goes, they were definite winners of this trade.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like I said, Milwaukee A+ for getting
Yeah,
Damian Lillard and matching him with Giannis. That combo is going to be crazy, and it all fits. A lot of times we've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
combinations where it takes time to mesh because the guys kind of do the same thing. But when you have Dame, Chris, and Giannis who all excel in different areas,
Mm-hmm.
that's what really makes this combination like deadly.
It's gonna be deadly, and it just makes them. I was talking to Mike Patton. Shout out to Mike Patton. We were
Yeah.
chatting about it, and I was like, look, yes, losing Drew Holiday is big because of the defense, but this makes Milwaukee's offense much better and much more diverse because Dame can fit and just he'll take so much pressure. And now Giannis doesn't have to handle the ball all the time either. You have Dame Lillard who can handle the ball, can shoot the ball, can get buckets anytime, anywhere, and he averaged over 30 the last couple of seasons. So Dame's
Yeah.
a walking bucket. Like this is 25 to 30 points easily. Even on this team, he still get between 25 and 30 very easily. So I just think it makes their offense much better with Dame. And they, like I said, they'll cover up for the defense, as you said. That back end with Brook Lopez and Giannis and
Yeah.
Middleton and Bobby Porter, they got so much size,
Yeah.
on their front their front court end, so they can. And Dame, he's not a terrible defender, but he tries to stay
Yeah.
keep guys in front of him. But he'll if the people blow by him, he got a back end with him. So I like the
And
trade for
another piece is Pat Connaughton's probably going to be the starter now with Grayson Allen
Hey, that
out.
Covington, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and Connaughton's a good defender. He's a really good defender. So
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be nights where you're playing against certain teams where one of their guards may be weak offensively. You can hide Damian Lillard on that weak guard and have
Yes.
Connaughton guarding the strong one offensively. So I feel like this team is going to be very, very good. Maybe the best offense in the league, and they'll still be a top 10 defense.
Yeah, yeah. They'll go from like I know they were top 3 or 5 during defense. They'll,
Yeah.
like I said, they'll go to the top 10. Still be a
Yeah.
good defensive team. So yeah, I can't wait, man. We got to definitely do an NBA. I have you and James back on. We'll do a whole
Oh,
deep
for
dive
sure, man.
NBA
Can't wait.
again. So I'll get that all set up because it's getting ready to start. So Damian, it's been always a pleasure, man, chatting with you and just with boxing and basketball. I mean, there was so many other topics. We didn't get into NFL. We'll have to do that again. And I know we play each other for fantasy football. I'm trying to stay undefeated this week,
Yeah,
trying
I
to
gotta
get
take you
that.
down this week. I
Yeah, I
gotta
gotta
take you
keep
down.
that, trying to get that number one seed, man. I've been like, man, here I go, starting again, really good.
Yeah.
So gotta keep it up. But it's been a good season so far in NFL as well. But again, thank you again. Appreciate the time. Let everyone know where they can follow you. Like I said, subscribe to the podcast, the where you're writing at, all that good stuff.
Yes, man. Thank you again for having me on. Whenever the real deal brothers can connect,
Yes.
that's always a good thing, man. So I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
that. You can find me on all social media platforms at the Real Deal WDA. So that's Instagram, the platform formerly known as Twitter. It's any platform on social media. You can find me at the Real Deal WDA. That's the Real Deal W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha. My podcast is called The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Coming to you once a week. I've been doing it on Thursdays. I might go back to doing it on Tuesdays. I've been doing it on Thursdays lately. So you're going to get it at least once a week.
Yeah.
NFL, NBA, boxing, always talking those three sports on there. You're going to get it with some flair. You'll get it with some music involved. It's always an entertaining show. And I definitely got to get you back on as a guest. I'm working on setting up my schedule to have some guests on for sure. So I'll definitely hit you up about that to have you on.
Always.
And Burn City Sports, man. If you are a Phoenix sports fan or just a sports fan, period, and you're looking for information on betting or you're just looking for great articles, like you mentioned, Phoenix injury history. I wrote one about that recently when I talked about their biggest opponent may not be on the court this year. When you think about the injury history with Kevin Durant, Nurkic, Bradley Beal. So you'll get in-depth articles like that about the Suns, Cardinals, Coyotes, Diamondbacks, Arizona State. We cover everything Phoenix, and we do it in a great way with a team full of talented writers. So go ahead and check out burncitysports.com or just follow Burn City Sports on any social media platform.
No doubt. Follow Burn City Sports, The Real Deal with Damian Adams on all podcast platforms. Also on all social media platforms. Like I said, type in The Real Deal with Damian Adams, everything comes up. So you can just get all the things there. So all right, man, appreciate it. I know it's early over there in the West. So again, appreciate you getting up and again doing the show. And say anytime you need me on the show, I'm there. And again, I'll be hitting you up to do that. We'll do that NBA mega preview show where we go on for about a good hour and a half previewing the NBA. So be on the lookout for that. So again, appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. Everybody watch. I know you're pulling double duty today, right?
I got another show coming up. So about 10 minutes, and then I'm about to get out after that. So that's So
all right. So everybody watching, man. Stay tuned. You see, I'm the hardest working man in the business right here, man.
I'll try. I'll try it, man. I'm trying. Put those podcasts out. Get those episodes out as quick as possible. So definitely.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
All right, man. You too. Have a good one. All right, that was Damian Adams on from The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Really appreciate all the expertise in boxing and NBA, and he does a little of everything. So check him out, Real Deal Damian Adams, Burn City Sports. Check it out. All right, well, I'll be back in a little bit with another guest. Stay tuned for more of The Real Deal. Till next time, peace.